This is John Bowe, and this is my past blast for unique cars. I'm going to drive a Ferrari 550 Maranello. I've always wanted one, ever since they came out in the mid-90s. They're the modern day Ferrari Daytona. I think that's really what appeals to me about them. V12 engine, 5.5 litres, rear transaxle with 6 speeds, 2 seats only. It's just a sort of, I think, the epitome of what Ferraris always were in the 50s, 60s and 70s. This car was over 600,000 back in 2000. That's the cost of quite a nice house. They're in the $120,000, $130,000 mark now. It's terribly good value for money. Not that $130,000 is affordable, but it's quite achievable when you look at what the cost of some new cars are. It is very, very high tech. It's all aluminium. The chassis is aluminium, the body's aluminium. It's beautifully made, and it's something that really surprised me because I've never thought of Ferraris as being beautifully made. I've always thought of them as being sort of exotic and high maintenance things. It's so easy to drive. It's got so much flexibility, so much torque. I'm revving it to 2,500 revs, and it's redlined at 7,800 revs. So it's got a massive torque range and flexibility. The steering weight is nice. The gear change is easy. I actually like the fact of changing gears. This traditional Ferrari gear shift is similar to they had in the 50s and the 60s. All those iconic Ferraris like GTOs, 250 short wheelbase, Lusos, they all had this sort of gear shift. If I change into 6th gear now, the engine is doing 1100 RPM. We're doing 60 kilometers an hour, and it's just driving along like it's not chugging or transmission snatch or protesting in any way. So 1100 RPM in 6th gear, just driving around the city in Melbourne is pretty impressive, I reckon. 12 years ago it would have been mighty impressive. In my eyes, it's such a traditional Italian supercar. It's got this layout of big V12 engine mounted quite low in the front, transaxle at the back, really good weight distribution. The body, chassis, suspension's all aluminium, so it doesn't weigh crazy weights like a lot of cars do now. 485 horsepower is a fair bit of power for a road car. Not a lot of power for a race car, but a lot of power for a road car. It's important to use these sort of cars regularly because if you don't use them, they just kind of go bad. A lot of classic cars don't get used enough, and they really do. They need the heat, and they need the brakes getting warm, and the engine and the transmission and the diff and all the seals getting wet, and they just need that sort of stuff. So anybody that just looks at their car, get it out and drive it. You're going to have to take my word for the fact that it's fast and it sounds awesome, and it's an experience driving it and living with it. It really is an experience. I am wrapped in this car. It is just an awesome thing, honestly. It makes the driver look good. It's so light and so easy to manoeuvre. You know, I could see everyday usage for this car without a doubt. I could jump in this, drive it to work, come home in it. The only problem with doing that with a car such as this is it would become very familiar, and then you wouldn't love it as much because you just take it for granted. But I love this car so much that I bought it. I've bought it from Maranello Motorsport. I've had a great long involvement in motor racing with Maranello Motorsport, and they loaned me the car to do the story, and I do love it, and I've bought it. So there you go. I've bought my own website story.
I knew she was the one. The heart's going a million miles an hour, the mouth's dry. It's love, mate. Pure and simple. In '71, this was the fastest four-door car in the world. Back then you could pick one up for a bit over $4,000. Insurance, it's got to be Shannon's.
No one knows your passion like Shannon's. And with our multi-vehicle discount, you can even cover your daily drive. So call Shannon's on 13 46 46. Shannon's, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.